powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
Welcome, friends. Andrew, could you hear that this time?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Friends.
I heard a very large man say powered by Riverside, and then it went away.
Friends, well, first off, we're all going to be surprised whether or not that audio makes it onto the final episode because we also love to be surprised. Andrew can't seem to hear these intros, but, you know, as all of you who watched the YouTube episode and listened to the podcast episode on audio only last week, you could hear it. So we're trying to figure this out. If any of you are honestly average to above average with being a podcast producer, we'd love to talk to you, love to get your feedback, love for you to join the team.
I second that because I would like to hear the music. It's such a nice little pleasant dance intro that we do every once in a while, but I can't dance if I can't hear it. And I'm not going to dance to nothing.
You can always dance.
I'm not going to dance to nothing.
And if you can't dance, ain't no friend of mine. Or friends, if you want to make a song for us, also more than welcome to. We love all our friends who are musically gifted. We are not. That is not our specialty. But if you are, let us know. Hit us up. We can collaborate. You can make some music for us, and we will gladly accept it as an intro and outro to this wonderful pod.
Who are we friends with that are musically gifted?
I have some friends out here in Richmond who are musically gifted. I don't think any of them listen to the pod, but, you know, there's always a shot.
Never know. Like, there's a first time for everything.
There is, and I just need them to listen one time to this intro and get to this part and then be like, oh my gosh, we would love to help you. You need the help.
It's literally 2.5 minutes of their day. It's all they need to do.
True. All right, friends, this weekend has been honestly kind of crazy for the Premier League. And also, the fact that we have games almost every single day this week is insane.
April is very, very busy. Not because there's European competitions for teams. There's still other like domestic cups. But yeah, we have legitimately a game almost every day.
And I mean, if you're Chelsea, you know, some of these games don't matter anymore. And you're only focusing on Premier League or focusing on Champions League.
I mean, they got to focus on something because right now they're in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah, they are. Come join us.
I do not. I mean, honestly, right? Chelsea right now, I don't see them even getting any further in Champions League.
Well, you know what? We'll get to them in a second. Friends, let's go through the rundown real quick. We got City versus Liverpool. We got to talk about Chelsea again. We really tried not talking about them, I swear.
We have to.
But then some major news came out of them, and we had to bring them back up. We're going to talk about Leicester real quick, just because they also have similar news to Chelsea. And then this week, instead of an update on the bottom four of the Premier League, we're actually going to talk about spots 5 through 7, which honestly might stretch to 4 through 8.
Yeah, I think in mine I have it to like literally the top 3 teams just because of, or top 3 within that like 5 to 7, and then I have like the 6 to 9.
Yeah. It's been a fun Premier League season. I love how close everything is at the end. We don't always get that. But let's start with our first thing. Let's talk about City versus Liverpool because Pep put on a show. His team, absolutely incredible. Liverpool, there's no live in there anymore. City absolutely buried them.
Legitimately. Yeah, there's no live in there anymore. They are legitimately just a pool of their own blood at this point. They did not do well.
You know what? They started off well, right?
They did.
Salah scored 17th minute, rifled it past the goalie with his kissed by the gods left foot. And then City was like, whoa, hold up. Hold my beer, hold my pint, watch this. They scored 10 minutes later, never looked back.
They did. I mean, honestly, when Liverpool scored like 17 minutes, I was like, okay, cool. Like they like are probably are going to be poised to have more momentum this game for one time in the whole season. But yeah, once City like came back and leveled it, it kind of there wasn't ever I feel like a clear advantage until the second half, and the second half started, and it was just like, where did Liverpool go? They were non-existent on the field. They were getting absolutely run down from back to front, and by one man in particular, a man I didn't ever think we'd probably say his name in this fashion, but Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish is an amazing player. I feel like we forget about that because it took him a very long time to incorporate himself into Pep's tactics and Pep's strategies. How, like, and Holland seems to just like immediately fit in. But the kind of player Holland is much easier to fit into a new club as opposed to Grealish, who wants the ball at his feet almost at all times. He played incredible. I believe he was a man of the match.
He was. I mean, he had a goal. He had an assist. You said it for a second ago. He's had a hard time like fitting in and into like Pep's whole squad. I mean, it's hard when he was Aston Villa, moving up to Man City. Like that's a pretty big jump as far as a player goes. But then he did it for like $100 million, and now he has to live up to that. Yeah, he has to live up to that price tag, and I feel like that performance was finally worth his price tag.
Oh,
it may have taken a while.
It took a little while, but he got there.
Yeah, I mean it's a good game for City to win. They still have a game in hand against like Arsenal, but let's say they win it because I mean there's a high chance they do. That puts them within 5 points. I said it last week. I don't foresee City actually overtaking Arsenal unless something happens and Arsenal just implode, which I don't think they're going to. But that win against Liverpool definitely helps if something does get stirred up within the top two.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any really fault of City that they're not. I don't believe they're going to overtake Arsenal. Arsenal has just been so consistent all year. The difference between City and Arsenal, honestly, is what, a couple of draws. That's really it. And Arsenal have an extra. Arsenal have played an extra match.
Yeah, I mean if you look at like the Premier League table, wins 23, wins 20, goals 70 and 71, goal differential 43-45. Like they are tight as stats can be right now. But Arsenal have kept a little bit more like consistency and obviously winning because they have 3 more than City do.
Right, and even if you took away the extra game, we're just going to assume that's a game that they won. They still won twice, 2 more times. Makes a difference. It's an extra 6 points, and it's not like City have played bad at all this year.
No,
the guy I didn't realize we were going to have to talk about was Alvarez, the dude behind Holland. Like, I mean, he scored a goal. He had 6
score.
Premier League goals.
I mean, I knew he scored a few times early on, but I didn't realize he had 6.
He has 6. That's more than some other clubs have for like their top leaders.
That's true. People that should be scoring a heck of a lot more than that aren't.
Kai Havertz has 7, and I'm always going to pick on the Chelsea team.
I mean, it's easy to pick on the Chelsea team considering all the money they've spent and the players they have. So I think it's okay.
Alvarez has as many goals in the Premier League as Son does.
Yikes.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, because hasn't Son won the Golden Boot in the past? That's kind of bad.
This is atrocious. I can't believe the backup to Holland is also a massive goal scorer. This team has so much depth. It is ridiculous.
They do. I mean, it doesn't matter if Holland's on the field or not. They have people who can score goals from any point. I mean, their midfielders can score. Alvarez can score. I mean, yes, they do miss a 42 goal Erling Haaland. Like 42 goals, all comps this season is just wild. If he wasn't injured and was starting every game, I think that he could probably do it next year. He could surpass the season that Messi scored like 96, which I think is like one of the highest in history. Don't
Isn't it
quote
the
me on that
record,
because
or does someone else have it?
I didn't do my research into that one. But I think that Haaland could break that record if that is the record. But I think that he could surpass it. I mean, he's got 46 goals right now. He could
In all
easily do it. I
competitions?
think all cups. So that's what it was for Messi. It was 96 in all.
Yeah, but I mean, Messi has like double that.
I know, but it's also he's been injured. I think twice this season. Not big injuries, but small enough to keep him out of like a couple of games here and there. But that if he could keep doing that all season long, I think it could be done. Because you got to think how many Premier League games there are left.
Being able to do that.
Well, you have little faith.
I do have a little faith.
You got married in a Catholic church. You have some more faith.
Wow, bringing the church into this. The audacity of you. All right, well, let's go back to this because Liverpool needs to start praying for any shot at literally anything this season. They gave up the same goal 3 times. I don't know if you realize that.
Yes.
City, I don't know how Pep found this as a massive weakness for Liverpool, but City would play the ball to the corner. It would force a defender to come out, address the ball, attempt to stop the pass coming in, never actually stop the pass. Ball played into the box. City player was one-on-one with the defender, so the City player just had to be in a better position than the Liverpool defender. And then every time the ball went into the net. It was incredible.
Really?
I loved watching it. It was like picking on the little kid.
I mean, yeah, they do the same thing every time, and it worked. There wasn't much there. I don't think there was really anything bad that happened with City's performance, but like Liverpool just kind of they seem to do well for a second, and then they implode a little bit. Here's something that I thought is interesting, and I've kind of like looking at the table, looking at teams whose managers have been fired, managers have like left the team. There are managers above Liverpool in the standings that have been fired or left their teams, and yet Klopp is somehow still there. Even though he's out of every competition.
I think what Klopp has done for that squad in his tenure there gives him at least another season.
I mean, more than likely, unless they like completely like dive and lose like 5 or 6 games in a row.
Yeah. And even then,
like,
I think they let him finish the season.
I mean, at that point, like, what are you going to do? Bring someone in to finish like the last 4 games? You might as well.
That's what Chelsea's doing.
Season. Yeah.
But yeah, this City just put on a masterclass against Liverpool. The Liverpool defense looks so out of place. The defenders don't know where to stand. On the third goal, as City was taking the ball across the box, it looked like every Liverpool defender was just so afraid to commit a penalty. They didn't want to step up. There wasn't proper defending. And if the ball gets shot, Trent Alexander-Arnold did, he stopped the shot, which is good for him. But then it bounced to one of 2 City attackers immediately in that vicinity. And then for some reason, Alexander-Arnold didn't like step up. He just like stayed there. I don't know if you noticed that. It happened consistently on that play. The defenders for Liverpool, they didn't step up to block shooting or passing lanes. They like kind of like stood back as if they were afraid they were about to get beat in the box. But like if you let the guy shoot in the box, what's the difference?
I mean, not a whole lot, but we all know that Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't know how to defend, so of course he's not going to step up because he doesn't know which way to go. If someone like faints one way, he'll probably just fall backwards.
Apparently, none of the Liverpool defenders know how to defend.
I mean, yeah.
I'm looking at the goals against for Liverpool this season. They're at 33. Teams that have done better are obviously Arsenal, City, Newcastle. Newcastle's only given up 19 goals this year in the Premier League. Absolutely bonkers.
They have one of like clearly the best defenses in this league right now.
Yeah, I mean the towers that they have at center back.
I mean, look how many draws they have. 11. people like they can score, but like I wonder how many of those are 0-0 or maybe like 1-1. Like they will not get scored on. I think City scored the most on in the season at like 3 goals.
Considering they only have 41 goals scored, this is Newcastle. I'm assuming a lot of those were 0-0 draws.
Probably.
Yeah, Liverpool, I don't know what you're going to do. You have to let Klopp finish the season. At this point, you just have to hope that the other teams mess up and that you make your way back into Europa. Liverpool is currently sitting at 8th with one game in hand. We'll talk about the rest of the squads later, but Brentford, Brighton, both above them. Brighton with those 2 games in hand might come in handy. But I see a way Liverpool can make it, but I don't see a way Liverpool can make it. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's I think later in like when we talk about like kind of the shakeup at the top, I definitely have like thoughts on how there's like a race for one spot, a race for another, and then a race for the entire bottom.
All right, let's move on to our next thing. The team that seems to somehow always make it into our docket week after week, Chelsea. The magic is over. Potter was fired after just 31 matches in charge. You know me. I still don't understand why they fired Tuchel. Bayern gladly took him. A long time later, though, so let's not act like it was an immediate pickup. The team is currently in the bottom half of the table. They're 11th. They're pretty safe from relegation, but they're 11th. Their only hope now is the Champions League. Otherwise, this will be an absolutely terrible, disgusting season that Chelsea fans will want to forget forever.
Yeah, this is, I mean, at least in my memory, this is probably one of the worst seasons that Chelsea has had. I mean, let's just, right from the start, I definitely fell asleep watching that game because the beginning of it was so boring, but they definitely got spanked by Villa and like on a whole. Like they got kind of walked all over. Chelsea's offense was non-existent. They have people that can shoot. They have people that can score, but they don't know how to do either of those things. It's kind of crazy, but you're right. Potter is fired. Second manager in one season for this team. And yeah, I agree with you. Tuchel should not have gone. I think they jumped the gun on that one.
Did you see the stat about the previous owner? The one thing he didn't do was fire more than one manager per season.
I did not.
And he went through managers like a fucking carousel. Just round and round they went.
Yeah, I did see that. Like there was something that listed managers for like the last like 15 years. That I did see. They have gone through quite a lot of managers in the last like little while, but yeah, firing 2 in one season, that's a bit much.
I'm just pulling up the list real quick of managers.
I don't know if Bowley is the person who actually like has the say in if they get fired or not, but he
absolutely does.
Being a little bit of a terrible owner with that decision, I think. Not even with necessarily the Potter thing, but with the Tuchel thing initially, because I think that could have come correct. The new owner came in and was like, it's as if he was under the assumption that money immediately means you win. As if it doesn't matter which players you're actually getting. But if you're spending a lot, you're going to be winning by a lot. And that's not how this sport works. Clubs do have to spend a lot of money to get great players. But if you're spending a fortune on average, above average players, it's not going to work for you, obviously. And honestly, I feel kind of bad for Potter. It's not like he was the one who made these decisions for all these players, especially the ones that came in last summer. They're not his players, not his system. Now, he did do terrible. I think Chelsea's won 4 of their last Premier League games, which is unacceptable for that club. Yeah.
This club has been backing him the entire time. You might as well let him finish out the season at this point. Who are you going to get to replace him?
And that's something that I was thinking about as well. Like, I mean, like I get the firing and I don't at the same time. Like, He wasn't necessarily putting them back on a winning track. They were kind of like up, and obviously they were very much up and down. And what he did with lineups kind of like boggled the mind because he changed. I think he had the most lineup changes of any manager in the time that he was actually like running the team. But I sympathize for him because of two things. Number one, the club was already in a mess because of the like summer sale with the previous owner. They had like a player and financial freeze because of that as well, and they did have like a few like bad games at the beginning of the season, which led to obviously the Tuchel's firing. But like Potter came in, and I said this at the beginning. He was not ready to coach a Big Six club, but he came into a team that was already in disarray, and they were expecting him to just like wave his magic wand and fix it.
And this, I mean, let's talk about this roster. Everyone is overpaid on this roster. It's insane. And I don't just mean the signing fees that everyone did, you know, the transfer fees of paying that one-time sum or whatever, or, you know, however they put in their contracts. The actual weekly wages of this team are the craziest stats you will ever see for a team that's bad. And just and just in general. And this roster, because I was trying to figure out who's going to coach this team next. Who are they going to look for? Who wants this? I don't know if it's a desirable job. If you do it this season, you'd be the third manager in a season. So like you might be safe through the rest of the season, but you never know. The roster itself isn't exactly great. Koulibaly's turning 32 in June. Thiago Silva is currently 38. He's going to be 39 at the beginning of next season. Reece James, always injured. Chilwell, always injured. Those two have missed 100 games combined.
Jesus.
And like looking forward, right? Like let's look at next season because maybe you're like, oh, this is a wash. Let's just kind of like focus on next season, what we can do. City and Arsenal are here to stay. We know that.
Yeah.
United's going to be competitive. Tottenham somehow always seem to find themselves fighting for a top 4 spot. Newcastle, with their new money, looks like they're going to be competitive for a bit, unless this is just like a one-off miracle season. Like, is Chelsea a desirable place to go besides the name? But honestly, you're in the Premier League; you can get paid anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the name and the history, it's definitely like a desirable place to coach your team or coach a team. But like that's the thing is, what are they going to do till the end of the season? They have 10 games left in the Premier League, at least 2 games in the Champions League. Are they going to hire someone as caretaker for the next like 4 months, or are they going to legitimately find someone to take over now until the foreseeable future, unless they absolutely fuck up as well?
It's not even 4 months, right? We have like 2 months left of the season.
I think there's like at least 1 game into June. I don't know if it's Premier League, but there's something that's in June. It might be European or like domestic.
Let me pull that up.
Technically, the season isn't over until June, I think, but whatever. 2 months, 3 months. We're almost there. And that's what I was thinking about is who would they go for? Do they immediately try to get Pochettino? Do they go Nagelsmann? One of my friends who is a Chelsea fan was saying Luis Enrique, even possibly. But I brought up Zidane, which apparently he doesn't speak much English, so that might
that's not gonna work. Well. So I went up to the EPO website real quick. The last date I can find is May 28th.
May 20th. Okay, so there's something in June. It might be the fact that it's like Europa or Champions League or like the FA Cup or something.
Yeah, I feel like Champions League is always Memorial Day weekend. Am I wrong?
Couldn't tell you.
Champions League is June 10th this year.
Okay, so I wasn't completely off base.
I feel like the two usually aren't that far apart, though.
No, not the finals.
The heck?
Yeah, well, what does Chelsea do? It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the whole situation because how's it going to affect the team? They're already they're in a huge disarray. Like they just fired another manager. Is it just kind of like, okay, well, let's just try and do this? Like, who is going to take over? it has to draw a big coach. It has to, because it's
It
a
has to.
high profile team that has
If you were this coach, though, would
history.
you want to take over in the season, or would you want to wait until the end? Because you're almost set up for failure to finish the season out.
I mean, I guess that's part of what they have to consider is the fact that, like, that a top 4 spot is out of reach. That's not going to happen. You're probably not going to make it back into Europe this season. They're almost in a rebuild, not even in a rebuild. They've like done this to themselves.
Oh yeah, and
They have driven themselves into the ground, and it's not anyone's fault, but I think ownership.
It's literally just the owner. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they are currently unable to sign Mount to a long-term deal.
Yeah,
like he just doesn't want to.
I mean, I wouldn't want to. If I was, I mean, he's a decent player.
Yes,
and
but it's
if you have
giant red flag.
Yeah,
he's
of
homegrown.
Course. He is homegrown. I mean, like I said, if they can pull a high-profile manager that has like some pedigree and some credibility, I would be more willing as a player to probably stay. But if they keep doing shit and can't pull anyone, like I'd look to leave as well. If you've got interest from like teams that are in the top 6 that are doing well in all competitions, why not look elsewhere?
Yeah. Who are the managers you brought up again for possibilities?
Pochettino, Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique.
You hear
I'm still going to bring up Zidane just because
you hear about
he's out there.
Napoli's coach is a possibility.
No.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
He's been linked.
Interesting. He's had like one good season.
Fascinating. Because we don't have a lot of Italian people coming over to the Premier League to coach. It's a lot of Germans and Englishmen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know anything about the Napoli coach other than he's put together an absolute like god squad this year.
Season. Yeah,
I think they've lost like 2 games in their league, and they're poised to go to the Champions League final.
You know what's ironic though about Chelsea's season and Tottenham's season this year? The most exciting part is the fact that they're now going to have to actually compete for coaches.
Right. Legitimately compete for coaches, because the best ones out there are just now immediately linked to both of the teams.
Yeah. I did see a report, I think it was last night before I went to bed. Nagelsmann is the current frontrunner for the Chelsea job.
Interesting. I mean, they could pay him more.
Yeah.
That's
I do think it'd be
sure.
interesting. One of the reasons he was let go by Bayern was because he didn't develop the squad to progress any better than they were previously. So that'll be interesting, because if that is true, then he might not be the man for Chelsea, because you're going to need someone who can elevate a squad past their current status.
I mean, I think that Bayern is just looking for any excuse that they could have gotten rid of him to get Tuchel on board.
Hey, man, Tuchel might be the greatest coach of all time. You see that beatdown of Dortmund?
He is not the greatest coach of all time.
I'm just saying, he's making a case.
He literally came into a team that is already extremely like good. It's not like he came in and like is like the messiah over these shit players.
Dude, I'm just saying, we scored 4 times.
You did, and I don't think that was because of Tuchel. I'm pretty sure that was legitimately because of one person on the field, and it was Dortmund's keeper. It was so bad.
Guys, if you haven't seen it, just go watch the highlights. The first goal was entirely the keeper's fault, and those announcers would not stop ripping apart the goalie, to the point where I was like, you guys need to calm down. He made one mistake. Goalies thousands of times come out to kick the ball out instead of waiting in their own box. And every single time he came out, the announcers were like, what an idiot. And I'm like, he's doing his job. He just messed up on the first one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have thought twice about it the rest of the game.
No, and I mean, we've seen, even in the Premier League, I've seen Alisson do that. I've seen Ederson do that. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Yeah.
But 2 other high-profile keepers that have also done absolutely... Oh, Nick Pope has done it.
Yeah, everyone's almost like, I think Neuer has done it.
Probably. He's not a man without flaws.
Yeah. So, all right. Do we have anything else about Chelsea? I feel like we'll update you as we get updates from our inside sources inside the ground. But for now, we're just going to kind of keep watching the train wreck that is Chelsea. And their terrible ownership. Oh, actually, I don't know if you saw, real quick. Apparently, part of the deal to buy Chelsea was you had to expand Stamford Bridge. You had to upgrade it.
Oh,
That was part of
I
the
feel
sales deal from the previous owner.
as if the previous owner has the right to make any deals at that point. But I feel like
Look,
that's
I don't
something
understand
that's
how.
kind of a clause.
Yeah, I was reading about it. I think on the Athletic actually, and there's like been issues with it because they have to buy the properties next door to expand it and make everything bigger.
Yeah,
And apparently, the previous owner already had like what he wanted to buy and how he wanted to do it. And then, of course, like this new owner sucks at owning, and so things have kind of just like gone downhill. Apparently, Stamford Bridge is like it's super old. It's not as glamorous as these new stadiums. For a team with the prestige that Chelsea has, I'm going to go with that. They need a better stadium. They only fit like 40 something thousand.
I think United still has the highest capacity stadium,
I mean, most of these new stadiums
and
are,
they want
are
to
in the
expand
60s.
it.
Yeah, most of these
Yeah.
stadiums are in the 60s. And you can, I saw the amount you can get from game day revenues if you expand, and it's bonkers.
It's crazy. I mean, doesn't the Camp Nou hold like 97,000?
Yeah. I mean, also, I feel like there's just more room in some of these other cities across the world than the English cities.
Yeah. I mean, I know that even like Old Trafford, they're talking about expansion as well.
Yeah, because
Which-
also more seats means more revenue.
It is. I mean, Old Trafford's old as well. I think it's 100 years old or something. Just like the area, the stadium in general. But obviously, they've upgraded it as time has gone.
Yeah, this is about 41,000 people can fit at Stamford Bridge. That's embarrassing. They need something better. Emirates.
I mean, that's small
is
considering
60.
United is like 72.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these other
Sorry,
stadiums.
did you just say?
They're all
Did you just say Emirates?
Emirates, if you will.
Emirates, the Emirates Stadium, and the Emirates
Emirates.
Stadium.
Emirates.
All right, Mr. Leicester.
Worcestershire.
We're gonna have Tom come on here and give you a how to say words
If we could ever get Tom on here,
lesson.
he would never. All right, let's move on to Worcestershire fired their manager. Brendan Rodgers is no longer the manager at Leicester. This kind of came as a surprise, but kind of not. So he led his team to an FA Cup, 2 fifth-place finishes, and an 8th-place finish, which is very respectable, especially for a club like Leicester. They reached a Europa Conference League semifinals last season. They're currently in 19th. Or at least when I made that note. Let me double check. Yeah, they're still in 19th. They have 25 points. They are not looking good. I'm not surprised. Overall, I'm not surprised because they're trying to avoid that relegation, and clearly their current coach is not doing it. They have been giving up late goals all season. They can't hold a lead to save their lives. Their defense is about as thick as wet toilet paper. Anything comes through, anything can poke a hole through it. It just falls apart.
I mean, they do have like the second or third like most goals scored on them, but it's like an oh how the mighty have fallen situation considering they won the Premier League like 4 or 5 years ago.
It was longer than that.
Was it?
Yeah, let me look it up real quick. Yeah,
Whatever.
last time they won the Premier League.
15, 16. Okay, it was like 7 years ago. Whatever.
So that was a long time ago. I know COVID messed with timelines, but that was a long time ago.
Still.
It also wasn't him that won it, so.
No, it was Ranieri. But I mean, I get this firing as well. It's again kind of one of those things like manager's not delivering. Brendan Rodgers he's a good manager, but like you also have a team that kind of is aging. Players just keep leaving. They're not really signing new players. I'm pretty sure they have financial fair play issues, which I don't understand for a team of that size.
I can get into it in a bit. I did some digging.
Yeah. I feel like this is just a weird season from everyone top to bottom. Coaches are just getting fired. Teams are not doing as well as they should. I mean, they're 2 points off the bottom. But like everyone from 12th to 20th, they're within 3 points of each other.
Yeah, Chelsea's the only safe one.
No, yeah. Let's see what happens, because if Crystal Palace can pull a few wins out, or you never know. But also that would mean that Chelsea would usually keep losing, which is possible.
So I did look into the financial fair play stuff. It has to do with over a 3-year period, you can only lose so much money. And it has to, and you can only spend so much money. And the way Premier League works is you can only spend so much money above what your revenue is for the year. But they do it over a 3-year period because the Premier League is concerned about the growth of a team, and so that you don't just overspend everything all in 1 year. So that's why they average it out over 3 years, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so they got in trouble because they're not making a lot of money, and they were spending like right up to that line. And apparently they actually went over the line, but they changed a couple things for the emergency COVID-19 measures to give teams more leeway, because obviously you couldn't have ticket sales during that year, which greatly impacted how much money you can make. So if it wasn't for that, they actually would have broken financial fair play. So now they're staring at the financial fair play wall, and they can't go through it. They can't go over this line, and they can't. So they're having difficulties spending any money on anyone.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like this is almost a more interesting firing than Chelsea firing Potter, because like, who's going to want to come manage Leicester?
I don't know, but did you hear the name of the current guy who's going to take over?
No.
Adam Sadler, which is so close to Adam Sandler. Apparently,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's him.
Apparently, there's 2 guys who are going to take over: Adam Sadler and the goalkeeper coach, Mike. I'm assuming it's Stowell or Stoll, Stowell. I don't know, but apparently our boys Adam and Mikey are going to be taking this over. We'll see how it goes. Interesting that a goalkeeper coach is going to help lead the charge, but I don't know if that's just like he's the main assistant coach, if that makes sense. And Adam Sadler will be the main coach, the main head coach. But yeah, no one wants this job, especially not until the season ends. Because if you get relegated, that changes everything.
I mean, I heard Potter's free.
Actually, per my sources, Potter already turned them down.
Oh shit! I mean, I'd probably want to have a fucking break too.
I'd want a break, and also I'm not going to this squad.
Yeah, I mean,
what's best case scenario? You barely avoid relegation, and then you have all these financial issues.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just look internally or look for someone small to like do this, because no high profile manager is going to come and do this. Like, not at all. Not when there's Chelsea and Tottenham available. No one's going to want to go, oh yeah, let's do Leicester. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun little side project, a little side hobby.
I mean, they do. If they wanted to get a Premier League manager, they do have a lot available. I think there were 12 managers that got fired this season.
Is that a record number?
Yeah, it is. From the start of the season to now, there have been 12 managers fired total, and I'm pretty sure that's the most in a single season. That is so many. That is more than half the teams in the Premier League.
Previous record was 10.
Yeah, there we go.
Which
12
was
people.
It's actually happened 3 times. The 13-14 season, 17-18 season, and the 21-22 season.
Jeez.
These owners have no patience.
No, I mean, there is no patience in the competitions. I think the most patient team I've seen in a long time is Arsenal.
Yeah.
And look where they are now.
Give them so much credit.
Yeah, they made it work. They've done the things. Now they're going to probably win the Premier League.
but for me, it's really funny because the teams that haven't sacked managers are near the top of the table because they had their guy, they did their homework, very successful. Continuity, stability is important for these clubs, and you can't just fire a guy after one season. I mean, you can, obviously. But
you can. Obviously, yeah, it happens. Manchester United knows full well about firing people very quickly.
I mean, look, no one's safe. And again, friends, we don't like the fact that people are losing their jobs. Now, will they be fined for longer than the rest of us if they get fired? Absolutely.
They're still getting paid.
But we don't like the fact that, these people have families. They have to move around from job to job. Like, it's still not great. And, like, I think about like their kids who got to like move around all the time and like it's not fun. So we don't like when people get fired.
Did you hear how much money it cost Chelsea to fire Potter?
No.
They had to pay Brighton like 20 million, and then they had to buy the buyout for Potter was 60 mil.
60?
60 million to buy out his contract. So they didn't even let him stay on. They were just like, all right, we want you out of our club completely, so we're going to buy you out. So they spent 80 million on someone. I don't even remember how much it cost to actually get him.
What was that has to be more than his actual salary.
I mean, I don't remember what was his contract, like 4 or 5 years, spread that out over time. I just remember seeing that and thinking, oh my Lord. Like, I wouldn't want to work after that for a bit either.
Where did you find that, by the way? The 60 mil?
Some football Instagrams thing, like FTBL or 443 or something.
Because apparently the rest of his deal was worth 50 mil.
I mean, buyout clauses are always more for that reason. It's like buyout clauses for players.
Okay, well, it depends where you look, because apparently, per The Guardian, the payout was going to be closer to 13 mil.
No. All right, well, I guess it depends on who's the source and what they're looking at as the total, like, overall financial hoo-ha.
Yeah. Friends, we will talk to our sources.
Either way, a lot of money.
Friends, we'll talk to our sources, and then we'll let you know what our sources say.
Ours are 100%.
Always. 100% guaranteed. Can we
100%
legally say that?
I don't know. I think we can legally say whatever the hell we want.
We'll go ask HR later.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. There wasn't really much about Leicester, friends. We just wanted to update you all that they also fired their coach.
Yep.
I personally feel every manager firing is important. So I always want to make sure these get brought up. Now let's talk about
Oh, actually, hold on. Speaking of a manager firing, real quick. We talked about this last week about Crystal Palace hiring Roy Hodgson, and
the man who was there before Color TV. I think he bought the first Color TV.
He probably did. He also got his first win as Crystal Palace's caretaker manager. Just want to put that out there.
I told you, Crystal Palace was going to survive no matter what, no matter who the manager was.
Dude, you don't know yet. We legitimately don't know who's going to survive from 12th to 20th.
100%
so
guaranteed.
Up in the air. No, we can't say that on the spot.
Did HR get back to you?
Yeah.
Is HR messaging us with Slack or Teams nowadays? I can't keep track.
It's still AOL.
Someone's on the phone. I can't get those messages.
Yeah,
all right, let's
still
talk about
AOL. Hit the little dial-up noise at the beginning too.
All right, let's talk about these teams. All right, originally we were going to do 6 through 7. How high up actually do you want to start? I'm just going to list these teams out.
I mean, I think on mine I've got. So here's how I look at it. We have a lot of like cool groupings in the table right now. 3 to 5, all 50 points,
which are Newcastle, 6, Tottenham, and United.
Correct. 6 to 9, 6 to 9, not to be confused with the good old 69.
Which is why we did not say nice.
6 to 9. It's literally within 3 points. And then
2.
Yeah, two 2 points really, but like 3 points can really shuffle that around if you're any of those like 4 teams. I mean, you could probably throw 10 in there if you want to get a little spicy, but then you've got 12 to 20. But yeah, let's focus on, I'd say.
I love how Chelsea at 11 is the only one that isn't in a group anywhere.
Nope, they're not, because I don't think they're going to move much. They're probably going to stay right around there the entire rest of the season.
All right, so which of these groups do you want to go through first?
Let's go through that, like the 6 to 9 group.
All right. So going in order, we have Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, Aston Villa. How Aston Villa is allowed to be in this conversation, I don't even know. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I forget about this club all the time.
100%.
They're just 100% in the middle of the table.
They are. I mean, they're in the middle of the table. They're also a win away from jumping up to 6th place, which, wow, from a team that I think started off the season pretty terribly.
I think this matchup this weekend between Brighton and Brentford, which was an incredible match, by the way. Friends, if you didn't get to see that, go Google Brighton versus Brentford highlights, NBC recap. I love the NBC ones because they're always a bit longer. Incredible match. I was texting you and our friend Tom to turn this match on because I knew this was going to be the match of the week. The fact that it was a draw really hurt both clubs. These clubs needed to win.
I mean, a 3-3 draw. Like they just kept scoring, and it was fun to watch. It really was. And I mean, they did. Both of them need to win if they want to do, like, I mean, what? I still can't even choose who's going to get like 1 through 5th place anymore, because I thought Manchester United was going to easily coast into 3rd.
Let me ease your qualms. 1 is Arsenal, 2 is City.
Still,
I think Newcastle is safe in the top 4. They have 2
they
games
are safe
in hand.
Purely on their defense.
And you know what? That's all that matters. A win is a win.
I mean, if they just keep drawing games,
there's no difference between getting 3rd and 4th in the Premier League. You're still going to Champions League.
True, but I think you do get like a 3rd place medal or something.
Oh,
like
who
they
cares?
still give you something. I mean, 4th place doesn't get a medal.
Okay, Tottenham's the only one who would care about something like that, and you're not a Tottenham fan, so we're going to move on.
Tottenham doesn't care about anything, clearly.
Not for Conte.
Nope.
Conte really, and also that Tottenham team really proved what Conte said. The fact that they were up 1-0 and couldn't seal the deal against Everton,
against a 10-man Everton,
absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, and then they came back and
from a fucking rocket off his foot. But anyways, so I'm going to say it: Arsenal, City, Newcastle, top 3. Newcastle, if they bumped on to 4, I'm still going to take that as a victory for what I said. Brighton and Brentford, I have more hopes for Brighton solely because they have 3 games in hand.
Yeah, they do.
Every week we talk about Brighton and their games in hand that are left, and it blows my mind every single time, as if we didn't just talk about it 7 days ago.
Right.
But I think, because I just don't think with Brentford only having 1 game in hand, they can make up that difference with one of the teams who has 50 points currently, Newcastle, Tottenham, United, unless one of those 3 teams just absolutely starts losing every single match.
Watch the top 4 end up being like Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Brighton.
I would love that.
That would be hilarious.
But
I mean, yeah, they have 3 games in hand. If they won all 3 of those games, that puts them at 52 points. Let's just like factor. Let's just say like every team is even. If they won all 3 of their games, and the other teams they didn't, they would be in 3rd place. And no, I don't think you could ever have drawn that on a map.
So Brighton's got an interesting schedule. Bournemouth,
winnable.
Tottenham, at Tottenham,
winnable.
winnable, but that's not going to be an easy match. if
Tottenham
shows up.
Tottenham's. I don't even think it matters if they show up. They showed up against what was it, Southampton, and blew a 3-1 lead.
Sure. Chelsea.
Easily winnable.
They technically play Man City, but that game got postponed, I believe, probably for the FA Cup semifinals.
Probably they're going to get beat.
In the semifinals? Or
Anything
City?
against Man City, they're going to get beat.
Yeah. I thought you were saying the semifinals because they play United.
And they're going to get beat in the semifinals.
So then they have Nottingham Forest, Wolves, United, Everton, Arsenal, Southampton, Aston Villa. They have a very reasonable end of season schedule.
They do. It's definitely it's not easy.
They get to play United, which is huge because if you win that, obviously that's 3 points you're taking away.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought about the game against Newcastle, and nope.
Well, you know what? You guys shit the bed.
We did. Bad. Worse than the Liverpool game,
But this
which is still an anomaly.
So I think Newcastle is safe. Tottenham is in trouble.
Yeah, we just never know. We never know who's going to show up. We never know if they're going to win or blow a lead every single game.
And it's not like they go through like streaks. You know what I mean? They're not like winning 3 games in a row and then losing 3 games in a row. It's every single week you don't know which team is going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, the last games they've blown leads. Easily winnable games.
So I think Tottenham is the highest risk to drop out of the top 4. And I also think they're the highest risk to drop out of the top 5. And I think it's more about what Brighton can do than anything else. Because if Brighton can take care of business, I think they get that 5th spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's any other teams with games in hand, it's all up to them. Like the top 4 is within their hands. So like United and Brighton and Newcastle, like the top 4 is like kind of their 3 to lose, I think.
I don't know why. I just love the fact that Tottenham has 0 games in hand. It just fits.
Yeah. I mean, they got booted from all competitions pretty early. Well, Champions League, they made it kind of far, but still.
Yeah. Arsenal also has 0 games in hand, which it'll be interesting to see how that extra game for City, like what happens with that.
I mean, it'll just be a win, and it'll put them within 5 points. I think that's all that'll happen.
True. Do you think the current top 5 or the final top 5, or do you think there will be some shuffling around?
I mean, I think the current, because don't we technically have a 6th place that goes into the Europa Conference League because someone in the top 5 technically won FA Cup or whatever? Or is it just no one goes? Remember you did like research on that?
I did, and it got very complicated because there's also play-in games for the other for the other European competitions, and there's a whole thing about who gets sent, or like does another country get to be in the play-in game instead? There's a whole thing.
Well, either way, I'm pretty sure the top, like let's just say for it, 6 is probably where it would land at the end of the season. I think Brentford and Liverpool are like close to being in like 6th place, but Liverpool,
I think Brentford's
like
officially done.
You think they're officially done?
I think their chances are officially done because they did not win this past weekend.
Interesting, considering they're tied with Brighton on points.
They are, but Brighton has 3 games in hand. Brentford has...
We will see what happens.
1 game in hand, and I don't think Brentford can do enough to reach the 5th spot, because that's the only thing I care about.
Yeah. Probably like 1 through 5 is probably pretty set. I think Brighton can probably make a push for 5th, but it's gonna come at the expense of either Newcastle, Tottenham, or Manchester United. So I guess we'll have to see. We have 10 games left in the season, 13 for some people. Yeah. But yeah. The games in hand, I think that those games in hand are going to be huge help for people. Even Liverpool, but I don't see them getting top 5.
I think Liverpool is really going to benefit from this season They'll benefit from it next season when the only thing they have to do is worry about Premier League.
Ruth.
Because
Literally.
then,
them,
Klopp can just focus on his
Chelsea.
once-a-week match.
Yeah, he can focus on doing the same thing over and over, week in and week out again.
And then you know what? Somehow going to work next year, and everyone's going to call him a genius. And then he might end up in European competition again and not be able to focus on things. I don't know. This
maybe
season
that's
has been
Klopp.
weird. This season
Yeah,
has been weird for Liverpool. The fact that their strategy just isn't working anymore makes no sense.
Yeah, it's been weird. It's just been a weird top to bottom season ever. Here.
Imagine if Newcastle didn't get all that money.
They would not be in the top at all.
It would not be nearly as interesting of a race.
Mm-hmm. No.
But I think with that, we're done. I don't think we have much else to talk about.
No, we do not. I mean, we could, but we don't need to.
No one wants to be around for that. Friends, thanks for making it this far. We appreciate you all. If you watch on the YouTube channel, thank you for watching us. I'm sure you just use this as background noise. Or if you have one of those computers where as long as YouTube keeps playing, it looks like you're logged into work. I understand that. I get that. I don't care if you used us for that. Please, listen to us on Spotify on your drives as well. And yeah, have fun watching all of the matches this week. We have no idea which day of the week this episode will actually be uploaded.
Yeah, if you made it this far, you might as well just keep listening. There's 30 seconds left.
Bye, friends.
Bye.